Hello, Lonnie 270 here. I thought I'd like to share with you this 6.5 Creedmoor rifle assembly. I don't like to refer to it as a build. Build is the guys that actually do all the machining. To start out with, I've got a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, Fulton Armory by Criterion, SJC Titan muzzle brake, Aero precision complete upper. Found a good deal on the complete uppers. Not much assembly to these, so I just went in and bought a complete one. Headspace gauges to make sure everything's machined properly. G&G Rifle Works lapping tool that I'll actually use in the video to square up the end of the upper receiver to the center line of the bolt path. And I have a Fulton Armory bolt. From what I've read, the Criterion barrels were headspaced to Fulton Armory bolts, so I went ahead and got that. Aero Precision Radian Raptor charging handle, SLR Rifle Works adjustable gas block, Aero Precision rifle length gas tube, and Aero Precision complete lower, which I got a pretty good deal on that. If I had to piece it together, it would have cost me more. I'm going to switch out the trigger to a Geissele SSAE two-stage trigger. And I've got a Magpul K2 overmolded grip and a Magpul PRS Gen 3 buttstock. And when it came to the handguards, I was looking for a round handguard. I didn't have any luck. Some out there, I didn't like the way the barrel nut mounted, and I found this one on eBay. Really good deal, very precision made. The only way you could adjust your rotation, how any of the grooves line up to the receiver, would be to shim the barrel nut. So I actually made this wrench. I got a laser blank and bought some 5/32 dowel pins off my master car, so that it would fit perfectly with the aluminum barrel nut. I've had issues where you could distort them with just a few pins. Well, after I got all this purchased, I seen this Diamondhead 13.5-inch handguard key mode mounts, which I'm only going to have one for a bipod, and I love these. I've had some on some AR-15s, so I think I'm probably going to ditch this round tube and use this one. So that's pretty much all the parts. Let's get to the build. All right, one of the first things I want to do is check the head spacing on it. Probably guilty as much of anybody as putting together some ARs with parts that you haven't actually checked that with. I really should, or the proper way is to take the ejection pin spring out, but you can do it without it. You just kind of work it in there. And then rotate it into place. And it will not engage. That is the no-go gauge. Alright, here we have the go gauge. Do it the same way. Get it into the barrel. Rotate it. And this is a nice snug fit. It is engaging. So there you have it. Feel comfortable with that. The barrel and this bolt, they said to have been headspaced, or the barrel is headspaced to these bolts, these Fulton Armory bolts. I don't know if I mentioned it in the parts breakdown, but this is a 24-inch bull barrel profile, 6.5 Creedmoor. The next step, I'm going to use this lapping tool. This slides into the upper receiver. I'll lube that up good. And you use some lapping compound right on the face of this tool. And what it does, it makes sure that this surface is perpendicular to the bolt path, and which squares your or aligns your barrel up perfectly with the bolt path when the barrel nut locks it down. I don't know that this is necessary, but it's one more little step that I can do to try to make the firearm more accurate. All right, what I'm going to use to secure my upper receiver in the vise are these plastic blocks, retainers as you might call it, from a company called Plastics X. It's an X instead of a C on the end of plastic. They fit really nice, real precision fit up, and I'll probably explain when I start installing the barrel a little more why I choose these over some other upper receiver retaining devices. I don't have a warm fuzzy feeling about the rods that engage the splines on your barrel. I mean, these are precision points that your bolt locks up against. I just don't feel comfortable about torquing against those. See these videos where these guys are sliding those things in and out, and kind of makes me cringe. Plus, that's taken, which is good in a sense, it takes all the torque off your upper receiver, because the only thing that's locked is your barrel. But if you think about it, when you're torquing the barrel nut against this is the threads that you're actually torquing against. The only thing that's keeping this from rotating is that engagement pin and that little notch right there. So I didn't really have a warm fuzzy about putting any torque against that point. So if you're retaining your barrel only and not your upper receiver, and you're torquing against that barrel nut, it's just my opinion, guys. I just didn't feel comfortable about distributing that rotating force against that notch. Okay, I have my upper receiver secured in the vise. I've lubricated inside of it with some Muzzle firearm lubricant, because I don't want any wear on the inside of it. And I applied a thin layer of the lapping compound on the face of the tool. So all I'm looking at doing is making sure from this black anodized, I'll know it's trued once it's all the same color, once it's silver. So I'm gonna chuck it up with my drill. I'm just going to go about this slowly. Let's put it forward. Let's wipe it off and check it out. More. It looks like it's squared up pretty good, just a slight amount of wear I can see on it. Needs a little bit more. Make sure I don't get lapping compound up into the receiver and wear anything that I don't need to wear out on it. Looks like I might have a little low spot right there, so I'm going to go through it again. But I want to clean this out a little and make sure that I'm not getting any lapping compound up inside it. Okay, this should be the last time I have to do this. Okay, and what I got now is a nice silver ring around it. That lets me know that everything is on the same plane. So I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the barrel on the upper receiver, and I realized one thing, that the barrel nut I had purchased with the Diamondhead Handguard, it was 18 threads per inch, and my receiver's 16, so I had to order another one. I did a little dry fit on it right before I started the video, and I was like, oops. I was so caught up in the good sale on this thing. These things are usually over $200. Primary Arms had them for $77 on sale, and I had the shipping on that, and I couldn't resist it. But I didn't even look at the thread diameter size or thread pitch size. So now we're back ready to go. So I took this barrel nut and I put some anti-seize on the surface on the inside. That actually slides on this surface, or torques against that surface on the barrel. Against the receiver. And once again, I'm going to use the upper receiver blocks to secure the receiver. I don't feel too good about the tools that secure the barrel by the splines on the barrel extension. I got some good barrel blocks. I didn't feel good about using them because any torque, since the receiver's not secured, will be against that one little alignment pin on the upper receiver. So I'm going to secure the barrel, the upper receiver, excuse me, by my barrel block. Upper receiver block. All right, when securing in a vise, I want this area here really secured, even though those things should be supplying even pressure across the upper receiver, but you have the big opening here for your ejection port, and this would be a weak area. So any torque I apply on the barrel nut, I don't want to twist my upper receiver. So I'm putting my contact points on my vise centered best that I can with the line of the bolt path. And then I'm just snugging it down real secure. And I'm going to insert the barrel. It's a nice snug fit. Everything's fitting really good and flat since I trued up a receiver with the honing tool and the lapping compound. Slide the barrel nut over it and secure it by hand. The recommended torque for the barrel nut was 35 to 80 pounds, and I had this barrel nut wrench that I'd made for the other handguard, and I had a hard time finding a 1 3/8 crowfoot, so I bought a socket and I cut it down and I TIG welded the 1 3/8 socket to this stainless with some 309 TIG wire. So I've got a dual barrel nut now. So we'll slide that over the barrel and engage the barrel nut. And the first thing I want to do is kind of season the barrel nut. So I'm going to torque it 3 times. Recommended torque settings were 35 to 80 pounds. So I'm going to start out small. I'm bad about over torquing things. All right. I'm going to torque it, then I'm going to back off 3 times to season the threads. And I'm going to use my torque wrench to reverse. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. I think I'm going to move it up to about 45 for the final. And you do get a little bit of amplified torque force with the torque wrench being that distance from the contact point. There's a formula for that. It adds a certain percent, but I still felt like it would fall well between the 35 and 80. So there you have it. That's the barrel secured to the upper receiver. And so the next process will be putting the gas block and the gas tube on. Alright, if you're working with roll pins, it's good to have a roll pin starter punch. That'll kind of capture the roll pin when you get it started, not bend it and twist it. And then when you're driving it in, to have a roll pin punch. It's got the little extension there that captures the ID of the roll pin. I'm using my barrel block to try to secure this, so I hope it don't slide around a whole lot. So that's pretty much it. Gas tube secured. I don't know if you can see it, but the hole in the gas tube is aligned with the hole in the gas block. And it's ready to install on the barrel. And this is adjustable gas block. I'll probably start out with a low setting where it might not actually eject, and then I'll move it up till it I feel comfortable about it ejecting. Okay, what I did now was put the barrel and upper receiver back in my barrel blocks on the vise, and I leveled the rail on the upper receiver so I could kind of kill two birds with one stone. I could put my gas tube gas block in and put my muzzle brake on, because the handguard will slide over it, and I can level the muzzle brake also. So if you don't know much about AR platforms, you have a hole in the barrel, and when the bullet passes by, the expanding gases go up through that hole, in through the hole in the gas block, through this tube, into the upper receiver, and into this connection in the bolt. And that's what drives the bolt back and cycles the firearm. So now that I've got that leveled, I'm going to slide this gas block. And this is adjustable, and that means that screw will let more or less gas in or out of it. So I can kind of adjust it to what kind of loads I'm shooting, so it's not slamming the bolt back too hard, or if it's failing to eject, I can let more gas out and send more to the bolt. So what I did, I put a small scribe mark on the barrel in line with the gas hole, and I did actually measure the distance from this edge to the hole there to make sure that when I did seat it up against that it would be over the hole. And the hole in the gas block's slightly bigger, so it gives you a little bit of tolerance there. And the good thing about this type of barrel nut is that you don't have to align it. You're not going through the barrel nut. You don't have to align it perfectly, and you can torque it the way you want to torque it. So one less headache to worry about. I kind of like that about these Diamondhead handguards. So now I'm going to align this with the center line I did. I'm looking down the center line of the gas plot there. Let me get a little closer. And this is the clamp style. So I'm all the way in, and I'm aligned. Put a little bit of thread locker on the screws. Just a little bit of blue Loctite. Must be a little armory. There it goes. So I'm going to start snugging it down and make sure it doesn't rotate off the center line. Make sure it's up against the machined edge on the barrel. Everything looks good. So one thing I did, I've got this Wheeler fat wrench that you can adjust the torque on, and I lasered this little profile here because it's kind of like opening a ketchup jar. And that gives you a little more torque. It engages on these little divots in the wrench itself instead of you trying to stay perfectly aligned and torquing against that. It really helps. It just gives you something to get a little torque on with it. So I set it to the recommended torque settings for the screw size. That was the minimum. I think I'm going to go up just a hair on that. So the way you set these things, just pull back and adjust it. I didn't even need my little torque applicator there. Well, it did make a big difference though, having that in my hand. It was a lot easier. Alright, so there's the gas block installed. Going into the upper receiver. Next step will be putting the muzzle brake on. Before I put the muzzle brake on, I do want to make sure that my bolt is engaging good. And it is. With the gas tube, you don't want to get too far into things without doing a little checking. Alright, I sanded on or honed on the small side of the lock crush washer to get the alignment that I felt good about. With the muzzle brakes, I'm going to put just a thin layer of anti-seize on this rascal. I want to get crazy with it. Put the crush washer on. And put some tape around my muzzle brake so I could torque it down with an adjustable. So what I did, I kept honing on that small face till I got to the point that I felt good that I could torque it down, level it out without putting too much torque on it or putting too much pre-stress on the end of the barrel. So now all I'm going to do is check my level on the upper receiver. Adjust that a little bit. I'll screw the muzzle brake till it's level. And that looks really good right there. It's not level, but both of them are touching the line on the same side. So I'm going to stop there while I'm ahead. Alright, the muzzle brake's installed. I'm going to use a little bit of cleaner just to get the glue residue off of it. Pretty much there you have it. That's the barrel, muzzle brake, gas tube, barrel nut, upper receiver assembled. Not much else to these upper receivers. You've got a a pin that holds the forward assist and a spring in front of that, and then that dust guard assembly. So not a whole lot to those things. So what I did, I honed the upper receiver so that the barrel engagement would be in line with the bolt path. Installed the barrel, torqued the barrel nut down to the proper settings. Installed the gas block, gas tube, and the muzzle brake. So next will be the Diamondhead handguard. These are some tools I have. This is a vise on a clamp plate, and I'm going to practically move it around the table. Move it along, and just lock these screws down, really secure. Barrel blocks, use them for all kinds of things, with the vise or off the vise. Really cool. And if you look at the barrel, I snug them down pretty good to retain the barrel while I was doing the gas tube and barrel block, and no marks at all on it. So aluminum does not mark the stainless. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the Diamondhead handrail on. Okay, I'm ready to put the Diamondhead handrail on this upper. Slide it over the barrel. Comes with some spacers. Not exactly sure the function of these, if it helps clamp it to the barrel nut. Apply some blue Loctite. Let me show you what happens with these. They engage in these grooves that keeps the handguard from sliding forward. Really like these handguards. I mean, once they're on, they don't move. They feel really good. They look cool. They're light. You do have to align your rotation, but after you align it, they do not move. Once again, I got my Wheeler fat wrench set on the proper torque setting for those screws. I'll snug them down and check my alignment. Wow, that looks pretty good. Just take my time snugging it down, make sure nothing's rotating. Alignment still looks great. So one cool thing about these Wheeler fat wrenches, comes with a paper giving you proper torque settings for the right size screws. And I believe these are number 10, so the 40 to 45 setting's really close to that. I'm going to put my little lasered ketchup bottle opener on here. Alignment still looks good. Looks good with the gas block. Not planning on using the rail on top of that for anything. The only thing I'm going to do is put a key mod rail in the very front for a bipod. So I'm just going back and forth, putting equal torque on it till they both stop rotating. there you have it. Okay, I installed a key mod rail section, only for a bipod. Other than that, I don't care about having anything attached to this firearm on the rail. Might even take that off if I end up hunting with it. So that's pretty much it, the complete upper. Okay, I got my lower receiver gently mounted in my vise with my barrel blocks. I got some tape in it just to keep from marring it. Just very lightly snug it down. I'm going to take the trigger out. I got some of these push pins. I hope I don't have to use a punch, but I might have to. Looks like I am. I'm just going to lightly tap on it. I'll remove the Aero Precision trigger that came with the lower. And install the Geissele SSAE two-stage trigger. I really like these triggers. And one thing that makes this go a little bit easier is having that slave pin. Geissele sends them with the slave pin, and it makes the whole thing just a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about trying to align a bunch of different things. So your disconnect and your trigger are kind of already in line, and the little slave pin just punches out the other side. Gentle tap. And there you have it. Make sure that spring's in the right position. There. That can be a little aggravating at times, but that is a really sweet trigger. It's a Geissele SSAE Super Semi Auto Enhanced, I believe is what it stands for. Okay, now I'm going to rotate it in the vise and change the grip out. Just gently snugging it. There's a socket head screw down the center of the grip. You want to be careful when you take it off because there is a spring in it. And a little detent that keeps the safety fire selector in place. And you see the spring? You don't want to lose that. I've had them fly before, and God knows where they go. Take the spring out of that and put it into my Magpul. Make sure that it goes back into the detent. Let's see if I can navigate this. And that's how you mount the grip. Pretty much this lower is complete. Hundreds of videos out there on how to do the other assembly on these. There's not that much to it. I'm just basically showing you what I did with my build. Aero Precision makes some nice stuff, really high quality. If I had to buy all the individual components separately, it would have cost me more than catching this complete lower. Everything's working really smooth. Alright, so next I'll put the buttstock on. There's nothing really complicated about installing this Magpul PRS stock. Not a lot to it as far as the installation goes. I do wonder if they're going to come out with a different length of these to change your length of pull a little bit shorter, because I've got it all the way to the smallest setting, and I'd be happy if it was a 1/4 inch shorter. I'm just not a big guy, and I like a short trigger pull if I'm going to use this for hunting. Got a little bushing you install there. Nothing complicated about that. It'd help if I had the bit in there. It gave a pretty healthy torque setting, but I'm just going to do it by hand, by feel. You had one more screw on this side. And there you have it. That's pretty much the complete lower that I'm going to use on this build. Okay, I got my upper and my lower complete. I'm going to go ahead and assemble it, or made them up. Alright, there she is. I don't have a name for her yet, but I'm sure I'll figure out one. Everything feels really tight, really good precision machining on it. Trigger's really sweet. One other thing I'm going to mount on it at the moment is this UTG bipod. For the price, these things are really nice. I bought one. I was kind of skeptical because of the price, but it's stamped sheet metal, some machine parts, but really robust. I can't find anything I don't like about these. I think I caught this one on sale for under 30 bucks, and actually bought another one. Like I said, I cannot find anything I do not like about these. So I'm going to stick this on here. And it has a quick lock. Just that little lever lock. You can pop it on and off. You can adjust the tension by that screw. And there you have it. It's my second YouTube video, so bear with me on my faults. But I like working on guns, I like working on all kinds of stuff. Built this thing on my welding table, actually. Excuse me, assembled it. I don't like to use the word build. That's the guys that do all the machining. I'll show another clip with it outside. Good video of it out in the light. So there you have it. Thanks. Well, I couldn't seem to catch the weather good enough to take some shots outside when I wasn't working. We've had some nasty weather on the weekends. But anyway, this is the rifle. Figured a black Coyote would be a good backdrop for it. Kind of give you a little history of how I came about wanting to build this gun. Originally was going to get a chassis rifle, but thought I'd come out on the cheaper side and just put a barrel on an M&P 10. Well, kind of didn't want to do away with my 308 barrel on the M&P 10, so I went to the route of just building another upper receiver. Well, I got the Aero Precision upper receiver, and it will not match an M&P 10, Smith & Wesson M&P 10 lower receiver. The lugs on the upper receiver with the takedown pin holes will not go deep enough into a Smith & Wesson M&P 10 lower receiver. It's a noticeable difference. Probably 15, 20 thousandths if I had to guess. I did not measure it. So basically that was the beginning. Ended up getting the lower and all the other parts, the handguard and buttstock. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice rifle. Hope she shoots good. Next videos will be with whenever I can afford and decide to what kind of scope I'm going to put on it. I appreciate y'all watching.